Welcome back to Rebirth Rereads. Today we're covering Detective Comics 948 and 949, Batwoman Begins, the two-issue arc that followed the Victim Syndicate and was before the League of Shadows. Creative teams are a bit different today, is James Tynion IV doing the scripting, but he co-wrote with Marguerite Bennett. Marguerite Bennett is another one of Scott Snyder's students. She's primarily known for DC Comics Bombshells, the digital first series about World War II, where there's pretty much mostly women. Let me think. She also is writing the current Batwoman series. This is the lead-in to that. Detective was so popular, DC decided to give a character a solo series, and that was Batwoman. The art was done by Ben Oliver. You can see here he has a fairly limited set of layouts he does for covers, and I'd say he actually has a fairly limited set of layouts for storytelling as well in the interiors. His stuff is very polished. You can see the detail work on Batwoman's face. He has a really nice looking design for the villain, Colony Prime, except for the helmet, which looks like a big blob of blobness. The variant covers are again by Raphael Albuquerque. This one shows the remains of Night of the Monster Men, and this one shows more of the remains of Night of the Monster Men. I didn't like the limited color palette for this. This had some warm and some cold, so you had some blues, and you also have a lot of reds. The other ones are mostly really cold colors. So that's why I decided to go for the main covers for this issue. These two issues. This theoretically served to introduce the plot for the Batwoman comic, but really all it did was introduce more stuff for the Colony, which was useful for the Detective Comics run, actually. We had the introduction of characters like Victoria October, the bioweapons scientist who's a friend of Batman, and Colony Prime, who is the main soldier for the Colony. Real name Simon Samuels, and he's kind of a jerk, but he's kind of an enjoyable jerk. Let's see. This also tells the story of how Batwoman discovered that her cousin Bruce Wayne was Batman. And she does this because 2 years ago, just as she was becoming Batwoman, she shot Batman and then noticed that Bruce was limping. So, better than The Dark Knight Rises, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt looked in Christian Bale's eyes and knew he was Batman. I like The Dark Knight Rises, but that was really, really dumb. So, let's look at our art highlights. We have a swinging Batwoman by Ben Oliver. This highlights both the strengths and the weaknesses of Oliver. He tends to do a lot of very pose stuff, but again, it's very polished. There's a lot of grace and strength looking on that Batwoman picture, and you've got the great building with the bat signal. So, big fan of that. And the second art highlight is the Colony Prime facing Batman. And you get to really see what sets him apart. He's got that colony symbol, but he also has a skirt, maybe even called a comma. I got that from Star Wars Republic Commando. And he also has a cape. So, he is very flashy, very Batman, except he doesn't have ears. I think that helmet would actually be way better if he had ears. But instead it's just kind of a blob. Ah, well. Colony Prime. A lot of the Colony stuff I think probably would have been developed a bit more given the 19 extra issues leading to issue 1000. But again, we're not getting that. The Colony is being highlighted in the final arc, the arc that's currently going on. But there's so much going on, and Detective has kind of turned into a Robin comic now that Tim's returned. So as I said, Tim was gone at this time, and now Stephanie's gone. So the team is shrinking, but it's about to grow again because we're getting Batwing and Azrael on the team. So we're going to be back up to full strength. I'm going to give this both of these issues a 6 out of 10. Largely because the last Batwoman series, except for the last 2 arcs, was really good. That was mostly 7 out of 10 with really great art. And this art is very polished, but kind of undynamic. It just feels very posed rather than moving. And it's also very weak compared to Elegy and Cutter by Greg Rucka, J.H. Williams III, and Jock. However, compared to Night of the Monster Men, the last fill-in, this is more like a 7, so it's definitely better than Night of the Monster Men. And I would give it a 7 compared to Batwoman Solo as well. So maybe I'd give it a 6.5. Fun issue, nice little self-contained story. Doesn't really lead where you'd hope it would lead. The Batwoman series is much more focused on Kate's old girlfriend, which I have nothing against Kate's old girlfriends. I much prefer Renee and Maggie. They were cool, but Kate's old girlfriend is a really cliched crime lord, and there's lots of cliched crime lord stuff. And so this is much better compared to Kate Solo, but much lesser compared to what Kate has done in the past. So we will see you tomorrow for the beginning of League of Shadows.